Hey everybody, Elizabeth Varian here. Looks like I'm wearing the same outfit 3 days in a row. Well, surprise, surprise, I'm recording all videos on the same day. But I figured instead of trying to give everybody all at once, we would keep separating them out. So, night before last, we talked about the Law of Attraction 101 teaching was on the Law of Allowing. Last night's Law of Allowing techniques and strategy, we talked about one of the most important parts of the Law of Allowing, which is to stay present. And I said it was not the most, but it was one of the most important parts. And that's because equal to being present is tonight's take and see action work, which is the second and equally most important part of the Law of Allowing, which is letting go. One of the things that our minds just don't want to do, and if your mind is like mine, where it's a strategic thinking mind, it like someone gives you a problem, your brain is not letting it go until it's solved or someone solves it. This part is the part that you really want to do what I call prepare ahead of time. And again, that's why I wanted to teach the third law first and get us thinking about it before we set our intentions. Next week is the week before Christmas. We're in Hanukkah, I believe already. And I think before we hit New Year's, we're definitely going to be setting intentions. And I'm going to start prepping for intentions next week. Next week, we're going to talk about getting clear. Not clearing obstacles, not shifting and moving things, but getting really clear in our minds what it is that we want and intend for 2018. Yay! 2018 is going to rock, right? So that's why I've been taking the steps that I have for preparing us. And then the following week, we will be setting intentions. And you're going to start then cleaning up intentions so that by the first, you're going to have an idea of exactly what intentions you want to set. And then we're going to go all year long and really just kind of break down all the little nuggets. I've been doing overview and prep work first, but we talked about a law of allowing in the teaching, but we're really going to break it down next year. So let's talk about today's take and see action items. These are going to be specific for you. I'm going to give you ideas and suggestions, but these are going to be something specific for you. And the first task, if you will, task actions, take actions, is create mental responses. So if we do this before we need it, and like last night's techniques and strategies, we practice, then as things come up, which is what they will do as you are attracting, or if you're in the law of allowing, you will have a prepared statement. So the first thing is practicing working with the mind. When the mind starts coming up and saying, looking and focusing on present moment and making judgments. This is stressful. This is horrible. I don't like this. This doesn't work for me. Whatever the mind wants to create. For me, the phrase, everything is as great as it is. It's as great as it is. Because we're going to be learning, and maybe you already have learned this, is that when we're creating, we're not creating right here, right now. We're creating to bring it about. And we are, waiting to see, or not really waiting to see. See, this is where we start getting cautious with our words. We are excited to see the manifestation in the physical that we have created in mind, body, and spirit. So in the spirit and the soul, the mind and the soul, or the mind and the spirit, we are creating. But in the body, in the physical, the mind's like, well, it's not here yet. This sucks. I'm looking at the bank account. I'm looking at, my husband and I got in an argument. My wife and I, my girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. There's no dates. Whatever. The mind is pragmatic. It just wants to say, this isn't now, make it happen. It's not practical, whatever. So we need to talk to our mind. And you need to come up with a statement or a created phrase that calms the mind, that is a remembering that, hey, all's working well. Everything is as great as it is. There's a gospel song for those of you, I love old school gospel. It is well with my soul. Well, your soul is your mind, right? It's your feelings, emotions, your filing cabinet of memories. But it is well with my soul is what I used to always say. And I would sing it, because then your mind has to shut up when there's music added to it. So you come up with something that is practical for you. What is it that you're going to tell your mind when it starts chirping and driving you nuts? It's not like a person that you can just flick them off, right? Go away. You can't hang up by accident. Oops, sorry, right? Don't do that, right? So, but what is it that you're going to tell your mind when it starts getting busy? The next one is, how are you going to combat worry? Women are known for being worriers. I don't like gender stereotypes, so I'll say female energy is known for being worried and concerned. The what ifs will show up. What if this shows up and I don't like it? What if this shows up and it's not that great? What if, right? So what I say is, if it shows up and it's not right, I created this, I can create better. And I look at it as, whoops, that's not what I wanted, and I make a joke out of it. A good example, which was recently given to me, I was like, it's fantastic, I love that analogy. I met a lady, and she was telling me how she started learning law of attraction. And a girl in the group was an actress, and she put out the intention to create winning the Oscar. But what she created, verbally was, I want an Oscar. Not, I want to win, not, I want to win this award, not, I want to receive accolades for my work, not those specific. All she said was, I want an Oscar. She is now dating a man named Oscar. So if it shows up, you've got to laugh at it at times. That's not what I meant. So if you prepare yourself, which is why, I think I mentioned in the teaching that Abraham Hicks, I didn't realize, used the same 3 laws that I did. It just showed me I was on the right track, but they switched around attraction and creation, what you attract and then you create. Well, for me, it's an endless cycle. You're always in attraction, creation, and allowing at any given time. So if you create something and what you attract comes in, you're like, not what I meant, then go back to the drawing board and recreate. No worries. Combat that worry. If you have, a lot of people don't understand this, but I had to get over fear of success. Fear of losing friends because of success. Fear of people thinking I was better than them because I would become a success. And so as I shifted and started getting successful, I would sabotage consciously or unconsciously. Well, even in the consciousness, I didn't realize it was sabotage on purpose because I didn't realize what the fear was. I grew up poor, and you think everyone who grows up poor wants to be successful. Not necessarily. And the success then, that idea is, will people accept me? Because being raised in a poor environment, I heard a lot of negativity about wealthy people, not necessarily from my family, but from neighbors and, other kids, and rich people are this and rich people are that. And it's not true. I actually, knowing that I had this fear, I manifested hanging out with multimillionaires. And I did it on purpose to get comfortable in the environment. And now I'm comfortable in all environments. So having that, I have money now, but what if I can't keep creating it? So I would say combat that with a second that you say, well, I manifested this now, the second that fear shows its horrible face, which is what happened to me earlier this year. So I can tell you, I've seen both sides of the game for manifesting. So once that fear shows up, what I should have done is said, you know what? I created this. Why can't I keep creating more? I've done it in the past. I've done it all my life. Now, I made the mistake of staying in that fear. And so my well dried up for a while. Now it's back again, and it's back overflowing in a good way, not a complaint. So the what ifs can be little monsters that you need to prepare for ahead of time. And then the last one would be, coming up with a general statement to remind yourself, whatever I need comes to me. But come up with yours. Search the internet for different phrases and memes and Facebook memes, and they're not necessarily affirmations. Affirmations are I am statements. Goes back to Yahweh, the greatest name of God, the holiest of names. Jews can't say it. They say Hashem, which means the name. And the name quite literally translates to I am. And we'll talk about affirmation statements, but that's not what these are. These are statements that I'd like you to get used to saying. Get used to calming your mind down so that when whatever those responses are shows up, you've got at least 3 or 4 ready. Things that you can keep telling yourself. This is why the very first week, the very first homework assignment was to say, I see the magic everywhere, and to open your eyes and prepare yourself. And then the next week was showing you why you needed to believe. Because knowing that you need to believe and getting it and determining it then leads to these, now I'm going to prepare because I know my mind, its job is to protect me. Its job is to keep active, keep alive, and survive. And its survival mode will freak out when you take it out of comfort zone. Sorry, hands flying everywhere. No, I'm not Italian. But when you go out of that comfort zone, the mind will freak out. So have these things to practice, that something that states that my present circumstance is great, no matter where it tries to shift your attention. And if worry comes up with the what ifs, what if what I create isn't what I wanted? Let's make a game out of it. Okay, not what I wanted. Sorry, I like Oscar. We'll keep dating, but I'd like the bald little statue. And I would say winning it because, somehow it'll show up in an antique or something. They can't sell them apparently, but, and then, what if I create this, but however, they're just fancy ways of saying, ignore everything I just said. I'm going to tell you what I really believe. And so we need to change what we really believe to, you know what? I can do it now. I can continue to do it. It's possible. And then a general statement of whatever I need comes to me. Okay? So the very first thing we're going to do is create mental responses before you need them. The art of letting go. Okay, the second part, I tiptoe to it. We're going to focus on clearing strategies. And I don't mean clearing the mind in this case. I mean clearing the obstacles out of your way. Moving them, shifting them. They are the reason this is a lifetime learning. They are an onion peeling of the layers. Some things you're willing to face now. Some things you're going to need someone else to talk to. And I'm going to be quite frank. I am not a person who says all you need is the law of attraction and law of manifestation. I'm not the person that says you only need to think positive and life is great. I do believe in having therapy, and I do believe that going to a counselor and some issues maybe needs to have someone that is able to go deeper with you. Not someone who knows how to attract and manifest, but someone who has psychology or psychiatry. And I'm not against them. I think all things were created for our higher being. I know in high school, I will share, I had attempted suicide in my junior year of high school. I had a second attempt in my 20s, and I can't explain it, but I know that when I came back to Christ, not necessarily a church, but came back to a strong belief in Jesus as my Savior. This is not a ploy for you to be, shifted to my belief. But after that, all hell broke loose. I got married and divorced, lost a job for the first time ever in my life. I was fired. I lost friends, like immediately within a 2-year, 3-year time period. And any one of those things would have been detrimental to me. But I was so strong, I got through every single one of them. And it wasn't until I was giving a testimony once that I realized, wait a minute, I don't have these thoughts anymore. Even the notion is foreign to me. But prior to, it was not. It's also why dealing with a friend's son's passing by suicide is very difficult for me, because I don't know why I was spared and why he was not. But we're not going to get into that. So there are things that you do need to get counseling for. And I did get help. And they gave me tools to help me through that time period. Getting a deeper spiritual walk has strengthened me. But I don't have anything against therapy by any sense of the word. And I know that that's not common or popular in the manifestation world, but take it as you will. So, having said that, and I will put these on the video underneath so that you have them and you can create a list. But in the teaching video, I talked about release and items that you need to release. And I'm going to read the bullet point list. I need you to start with forgiveness. And again, I'm going to create very specific clearing strategies that I didn't actually learn from other people. I sat down and did it myself earlier this year. Actually, while I was in Key West, I had a lot happen there. That was a major magical moment for me. But the second time I went back, this is what I did with a friend of mine. And so the topics were judgments, resentments, guilt, stress, disappointment, fear, anger, and doubt. Again, I'll put that list down below. If you take each one of these and write it on the top of one sheet of paper each. So judgments, write it on the top. Draw a line down the middle, or write it on the top of the front and write it on the top of the back. On one side, either column or front, put my own about me. On the back, mine about others. The Bible says, judge not, many times over, lest ye shall be judged. And I should go find the verse, because it's basically how the measure that you judge other people are going to come around and judge you. That's your law of attraction right there. You've created the judgment, and now others are coming to judge. And I've seen it in my life time and time again. Other people call it karma. It is what it is. You've put this judgment out there. I say I put a judgment out there that a homeless person came and walked up, and I wanted to say, you know what? They just don't work hard enough. It doesn't happen within the hour, not necessarily in the day, but sometime in your near future, someone's going to judge you for not working hard enough. You watch. It always happens. It never fails. And when it happens and I realize it and I can connect it back, I'm like, oh, I spent an entire 1.5 years, almost 2 years learning about judgment. And the thing I realized is we don't realize how much we judge. There's actually a verse in the Bible that tells you you're not allowed to call people idiots. I was really upset by that verse, because that's what I call people when I'm driving on the road. And I changed it to idiots, and I kind of heard the spirit within me go, what's the difference? And driving is still one of my most difficult I haven't cleared that obstacle yet, especially on 95 during rush hour. But judgment is huge. We judge ourselves. Either we're not good enough, we're better than others, we aren't pretty enough, we're more gorgeous than others. Come on, girls. We are smarter than, not smart enough. We're constantly comparing. That's judging. We're judging ourselves. So we need to knock it off. So start by listing, what do you judge yourself on? And if I were you, if you dare, ask ahead of time. Pray to God or universe or your higher powers. Show me that which I judge myself on. Take a breath and then just start writing. One per line. And then on the backside, what do you judge others? And if it's specific people, I judge my sister, I judge my brother, I judge my coworker, I judge my clients, I judge my employer. Whatever it is, write it down. And like I said, let's just start with forgiveness. That's a biggie. And I don't mean to just say I forgive myself for judging myself for this. I mean stop and really think about it. Gosh, I have been judging myself as fat and ugly for so long. And then pull a mirror out and go, you know what? I am beautiful. And stop and go, what is it about me that is beautiful? I forgive myself for being so harsh to myself. I am beautifully well-made creature, right? And just a tip, my friend Tasha said I should write how to manifest weight loss. I'm going to tell you the number one secret. This is the second time I've had to lose weight. I've gotten back to the original weight that I lost. So now I have that weight to lose again. But the very first step is you cannot lose weight without knowing your value. To be able to look in the mirror, it's going to sound crazy, but I can look in the mirror and see myself naked and I'm going, gorgeous, love it, right? But then you put the clothes on and you get that muffin top or whatever. Then you're like judging. Oh, that looks horrible. I just look fat and chubby and sausage or all these terms. To start weight loss, and I had to do this to lose the 30-some pounds that I've already lost so far, I have to look at the mirror, clothed, naked, however, and look at that body parts where the fat is got the dimples, the golf ball dimples, and say, you know what, you're beautiful. That is literally the very first step for manifesting weight loss. So do this for all of these. What is there? 8 of them. Judgment, resentment, guilt. Guilt's a tough one. I interfered with a friend and a guy, and it was in my 20s, and I still try and release the guilt still to this day. And I say try because I realize I haven't fully. And actually, I realized that the other day. And this person was actually in my wedding, and I love this person. But guilt is a bad obstacle that we have to remove. And we have to love ourselves where we are, in spite of the things in our past that we may or may not have done. Disappointments, fear, anger, doubt. And I'm not telling you have to go up to the person. I know in AA, one of the things is make amends. And if the person is alive, you write them a letter, call them, and you make amends to them. I'm not saying that at this point. I'm saying just write each one on the sheet of paper. One for yourself and one that you do for others. And just start with forgiving yourself. That's a huge, huge step. I'm going to talk about forgiveness later on, and an event that had happened with a person in my life who now I'm best friends with. And it's amazing how that weight off the back, it goes from being a statement to an actual feeling. So start by your take action work, because you're not going to see it this time, you're going to take it, is to create your mental responses before you need them. And the starting of needing to release, we're going to start with some clearing by just simply starting with forgiveness and daring to write the list. the crying comes out, the emotions, that's fantastic. The Bible says to go boldly before the throne. If I'm mad at how things are going, if I stuff it down, it's just going to keep showing up. But if I go boldly before the throne, God, this sucks, and I start dropping F-bombs, D-bombs, S-bombs, every cuss word in the book, I take the Bible at its word. You want bold, this is bold. And I let it all out. Well, that's what forgiveness does. Forgiveness will start releasing yourself from the prison that you've put yourself in, from judgments, from resentment, guilt, stress, disappointment, fear, anger, and doubt. And keep this list, because we'll use this as we start clearing, and you can come back to it and start really going deep and clearing. So that's it for today. It was not a very short video. It's quite a long one. Not that long. So I will see you next week, and I hope you have a fantastic allowing weekend. Have a joyful one.